I'm Ethan Brooks. I'm a second year geography student, and this is my project reflection regarding my on-campus project for Green Consultant taking place between September 2022 and March 2023. The project title which I was given was Surveying Students on Travel Behaviours and Preferences to help develop FX Plus's 5-year sustainable travel strategy. This was in fact my first choice of project, and I was very excited when I discovered that this is the project I'd be undertaking due to the importance of travel sustainability. I selected this as my first choice as I believe that over the coming decades, the issue of travel sustainability will grow and become even more prominent among companies. And it's also a multidisciplinary issue which requires creative solutions to overcome. I was put into a team with two of my fellow geography students, Archie and Mia, who I already know from my course and field trips. And we were joined by Ian, who's a marine biology student from Hong Kong, who none of us had previously met prior to this project. And I enjoyed that there was a mix between people I knew and had already developed a relationship with, and having to meet and develop a relationship with a new member of the group. At first, this posed some challenges due to there was a language barrier as well. But as we became more comfortable with each other, as we had more meetings and more time together working on the project, we overcame this pretty quickly and were able to work very cohesively as a unit. And our only contact within FX Plus throughout the duration of the project was the head of sustainability, Oliver Milner. So just a quick overview of our aims and objectives from the projects. Our aims were to survey students regarding their travel behaviours, investigate how FX Plus's travel survey can be improved for the future, and provide recommendations to Oliver Milner displaying how to increase travel sustainability and improve their surveying methods. And then our overall aim was to guide FX Plus in developing their travel strategy. We had two main data collection methods for this. We had a travel survey and focus groups. The travel survey was used to investigate students' travel behaviours and preferences and consisted of multiple choice, checkbox, and longer answer questions. Whereas the focus groups were used to investigate how FX Plus's travel survey could be improved in the future and pitch our recommendations. Participants for the focus group were selected from the longer answer question. During the longer answer question, it gave participants the opportunity to express anything they'd like to change if they were in our position. And the participants who answered that in the most detail, we then selected for our focus group. And our final output and deliverable was a business report to FX Plus, which outlined our project brief and scope, presented and analysed all our data, and contained our 4 key recommendations to help guide FX Plus with their travel strategy. Our final recommendations were that FX Plus should develop the travel survey to understand the reasons behind people's travelling habits. This was a no-cost approach. Expand the current FX Plus cycle to work scheme and develop a student scheme as a low-cost approach. Install a Beryl bike docking and charging station and more private bike sheds on campus. This is the highest cost of our recommendations. And they subsidise student bus pass with First Bus for travel to and from campus. And this would be a no or high cost solution depending on contracting issues with First Bus. So my duties and role within this project, I undertook the role of project manager. I was not elected in this role. We didn't have a vote. I just took the initiative early on with the organisation, communication with each other, and everyone seemed happy with that arrangement. And from there, that grew. I was then in charge of all our group communication. I set up a WhatsApp group chat where we communicated ideas we would have, mainly talking about when we would meet in person and just updating everyone if they couldn't make a meeting on progress. This was also done via a shared Google document with all our deadlines, milestones, and information on it. I was also in charge of contact with the module convener, with Ben, through email communications. There was a situation where I had to email Ben because me and Archie then went and met with Ben to discuss an issue that arose during our project to do with a change in scope from FX Plus. I initiated that conversation and that meeting. I led all group meetings, and introduced everyone to our client, having previously been in email consultation with Oliver. An interesting role I had was delegating tasks to group members. And obviously, when you're working as a team, you can't do everything yourself. The work has to be split amongst one another. And I found that delegating this was something I had to do as well. Outside of my project manager duties, I was responsible for creating and distributing the travel survey, and I wrote the recommendations section on the business report. And prior to our group presentation, we developed our recommendations as a team. However, due to time constraints, I didn't believe these were developed in as much detail as I believed was sufficient, and this was then highlighted in our feedback from these presentations. So when I was away writing my recommendations, I developed them further on my own, and this was something that I was fully responsible for. During this time period, I was actually away from campus for 3 weeks, so I had no communication of in-person communication with any of my teammates. So I was left to do this on my own. I developed the Cycle to Work scheme initiative, which was highlighted largely in our presentation, and tweaked the others to make them fit FX Plus's business objectives more, explain how they would work further, explain budgeting, explain time constraints. And before submission of our final reports, I sent them over to everyone for their approval and any suggestions they had, and they were all very happy with them. So then we submitted those. So they were my biggest roles within this, were managing the project, the organizational aspect of it, and writing the recommendation section for the business report. I learned lots from this project, but I'd say the most essential thing that I learned was that communication is essential for a successful project, especially the importance of follow-up communication. This was demonstrated due to communications both within the group and with our client Oliver. There are occasions where I'd mention we needed a meeting and people wouldn't reply if they were too busy or messages got lost, and I just had to follow that up to clarify that everyone knew the time and place of a group meeting. And there was also once with Oliver when an email probably got lost along the way, and I just had to write a follow-up email to remind him of a meeting that was coming up for our group. I learned that I enjoy undertaking management positions, and I felt comfortable leading the project. I never once felt like I was doing too much or too little. I never once felt uncomfortable, and I enjoyed being in charge of the organisational aspects and being on top of things. I also learned the importance of delegating tasks. For example, I delegated tasks in the written reports to match people's strengths. Archie mentioned to us that he was looking for a career where he had to write risk assessments and methodologies, so I delegated that section of the business report to him. And Ian mentioned he found it interesting, one of his strengths was writing literature reviews, so therefore I delegated him the role of writing the background and rationale for the research. I also learned from this that I'm extremely motivated by tangible outcomes and delivering on promises, compared to just writing an essay or completing a piece of work. If I have a tangible outcome where I can see how the work I'm doing is being put to good use, or if I've promised a certain quality of work to someone, such as a client, I find I'm much more motivated to put in the extra hours, put in the time, put in the efforts, the organisation to deliver a better outcome if I can have a tangible finish to my project, if you like. Throughout this project, I did not gain an insight into how large organisations such as FX Plus operate, as our only communication was with the head of sustainability, Ollie. And I think it would have been more exciting and better if I had met and communicated with more people from a vast range of roles within the organisation. But I understand that our title kind of constrained us just to head of sustainability. But I feel like something I could have done as project manager was ask to talk to other stakeholders, other people that had different roles, just to gain that insight. And that's something I wish that I had done throughout this project. But I did, however, gain an insight and an introduction into the activities of a sustainability consultant and the professionalism required during meetings with clients. and I found that the client roleplay session was particularly useful for this and prepared me well for the rest of this project and beyond. I also gained an insight into some of the data collection methods, and these were done. I gained this insight through the online training, client roleplay sessions, and just through discussions of data collection methods that other groups used. And these included surveys, questionnaires, audits, focus groups, and interviews. And I think the biggest insight I gained was into the day-to-day duties of consultants who undertake long-term projects to address a variety of issues and needs, meet with management and appropriate staff to understand their requirements, carry out data collection such as interviews, and then conduct situational and data analysis to identify and understand a problem or issue before presenting this in a client report. And I think that was the most useful insight I gained over this project. I managed to grow my network during the course of this project. I joined the University of Exeter Green Consultants group on LinkedIn, regularly engaged with posts within this chat, and actually looked at a few internships that were advertised on here, whether it be with sustainable consulting firms or within the university itself. And I've connected with fellow students from the module convener, Ben Toulson, and members of staff within FX Plus, such as Oliver Milner and David Gilmurray. I think the skills development is the part of the project which was most beneficial to me. Prior to this project, I had no project management experience, and through undertaking this role, I was given an introduction to this and was able to develop the basic skills. This was assisted through the use of project management software such as Trello and Microsoft Project. And the most valuable project management skills I gained were organisation and time management. But communication skills, whether it be communication and teamwork skills within our group or professional communication with the clients, such as how to compose professional emails, was something that I learned throughout this project and didn't always get right, and it's something that definitely developed. My teamwork skills were massively developed through this, as it's the first time I've had to work as a team across a large time frame. Most team projects I've conducted over the past have been maybe a day, maybe even an afternoon, maximum a few days, but this was a 6-month project. And that presented many challenges to maintain effective communication over this period and leadership. But I feel like it's something I cope with very well and feel confident going forward. Presentation skills were definitely developed throughout this. Obviously, the on-campus presentation helped this a lot, but even just little presentations, such as presenting the project brief to all members of the group, presenting it to the client, I feel like this is something that has really developed through this, and that was definitely assisted by presenting to the panel in our on-campus group presentation. I'd never presented in front of a panel of experts before. I'd never been questioned that hard either, so that was definitely something that had developed a lot. I've already spoken about my project management skills. This module really develops my ability to think creatively and outside of the box, and this skill was particularly prevalent when developing the recommendations, as innovative solutions to the problems were definitely required. And this also helped develop my commercial awareness through understanding the business objectives, the business's ethics, budgets, and timeframes to come up with these creative solutions. And I believe that the most useful skills I learned from this were going forward will be the communication and teamwork skills, because they can be applied to any job, any workplace, and not just career-wise, just in life in general. I feel like that's really put me in a good stead going forward. So looking onwards from this, my role as project manager in this led me to apply and secure a 1-month summer internship with Storm Aviation Limited as a junior project manager. So they are an aircraft maintenance business, and I've joined their consulting team as a junior project manager. And that was purely inspired by this process, by the role I undertook. I'm looking forward to seeing if project management is something that I'd like to do going forwards. And I feel like securing this internship is something that will enable me to do so. And I'm really, really excited to get started in June